Okay, let me refresh it again. Okay, StreamYard is a little bit different from Restream, I'm seeing. Okay, StreamYard is a bit different from Restream. Okay, let me see. Okay, I was trying to. That's crazy. Like, it shows up on my other Instagram pages that I'm live, but on my actual Just D Show Instagram page, I'm not seeing the live show up. Cause I'm looking right at the top. I don't see it up there. Okay, so regardless, I'm gonna move on because I don't want to be on here too long, but I know I tend to sometimes get long winded. So, anyways, I am doing one of many multi stream lives. So, right now we are streaming on my YouTube channel at Just D Show, my Instagram page, and Facebook page. Um, I've got to get my followers up on TikTok, and I am about 400 away from being able to live stream on TikTok. But regardless, I wanted to talk a little bit about Katt Williams and TD Jakes. Katt Williams is definitely one of my favorite comedians. I would say, as far as today's comedians, Katt Williams is probably at the top of my favorites when it comes to legends in the game. I would say definitely for internet comedians is most definitely Just Hilarious and Country Wayne. For those who have looked at my YouTube channel, like I've put out a few videos of theirs because I like to put out stuff that makes me laugh. So that's typically like what I, choose to edit, like the Katt Williams video I posted yesterday. I took time editing that and adding all the motion graphics, and I actually got another one I'm gonna post tonight, probably when I get done with this live. Because I be watching his old school stuff. I'm talking about 2006, like the good shit. Not that his recent isn't good, but I like the old school stand-up. Just like when I would look at Kevin Hart's old school, it seems like when they were first starting out, um, of course, that was when they were their most authentic. But to me, Katt Williams, I can't even say he's funnier than Kevin. They have their own, they each have their own type of funny, just like with, Jill Scott and Erica Badu. I can't say I like one more than the other because I equally love both of them. I can honestly say they're both my favorite melanin female artists since I was 13, 14 years old. But Katt is my favorite because he's authentic. Katt is authentic. Katt is raw and uncensored. Katt really is the modern day Richard Pryor, if you think about it, because he don't give a fuck. Like Katt gonna say what it is. He's gonna keep it real, and you really don't find that much, especially in Hollywood and in the industry. It's a lot of people cooning for acceptance and cooning and being fake and stealing other people's work. And it's so funny how ever since he did this interview with Shannon Sharp, just how viral he has gone as a comedian, but also so many in the industry saying that he's authentic and he's not a liar. Now, of course, it's up for debate. The things that he said, everybody's like, "Oh, he was lying about reading the books." He might not have been, man, because you don't know. If you wasn't around him, you really don't know what his childhood or his teenage years was like outside of what he tells you. But I know, like me, I was definitely a bookworm. Definitely always reading books back to back to back to back. And yeah, I can honestly say ever since I pretty much learned how to read, that was my favorite pastime until I would say like about high school. Um, yeah, because once I got in high school, I was involved in so many extracurricular activities that I made time to read, but not like when I was a kid. But you got to think about it. If you a kid like I was, where you was raised in church, so you didn't get to go out and do all the stuff everybody else did. You had to spend a lot of time at home. And for me, reading books was my way of like escaping into another world or another realm. Because again, I'm an 80s baby, so this way before social media. Like social media didn't even damn exist. Like our social media was going to a place and socializing. Like I was watching that movie Pixels. That's one of my favorite just like techie fantasy type movies. And he was, making fun of the kids because he's like, we used to go to arcades, a place where you go and you socialize with your friends. He was like taught to keep girls. So again, like me growing up in that era, I would shout out to that movie because I am a huge gamer and huge arcader, but we'll get back to that. Regardless, like I had to read a lot. So I can remember being like in third and fourth grade, being in diff classes, the differentiated classes for advanced kids. And a book that would take a normal student maybe a week to read, I would have it done in like 1 to 2 days. So it's possible. That's all I'm saying. It's possible that he could have read as many books as he said, but it's goes without saying that Katt is and has always been an intellectual mind. He's very. I'm just shocked he's not a Scorpio like me because he's very deep. I need to look up to see what his zodiac sign is, but Katt is very deep, and he exposed everybody who came for him, and I'm glad he did because people been saying this and that. I haven't honestly looked at whatever it was Dave Chappelle had to say about him. I didn't look at. I may or may not look at the video. I don't know, but I will say this, Dave, for somebody that disappeared off the map for over a decade and went to Africa because you realized the same exact truth that Katt is now talking about, you you might want to sit this one out, bro. That's all I'm saying. You might want to sit this one out because see, Katt has been around. He's been around the industry. He's been around the people. He's been in the circles. He's seen and heard everything that goes on. He has let cats out of the bag. Oh, well, that wasn't pun intended, but I guess so. But he has literally let cats out of the bag for years in his stand up. And one thing I noticed that even Claudia Jordan said recently, she was like, when you're in the industry and you're real, you're ostracized for being real because everybody wants you to be fake. And she was talking about how people have even come for her when she's tried to, keep it real about things. One thing I noticed about Katt, every one of his stand-ups, and I'm talking about from Pimp Chronicles to the one he did in his hometown. I think that was, I can't remember the name, but I'll go look it up. But regardless, from the very beginning, he has talked about like, I love Michael Jackson. I did cry the day he died, but I didn't know all of the stuff that I know now. And on one of Katt's stand-ups, he talked about how Michael Jackson was a pedophile, and how he moved to China, where he's like he can just go pick boys up. He made a joke out of it, but he was being serious. He was talking about the sex trafficking and the pedophilia. Now that is very real, very prevalent in Hollywood and in the entertainment industry overall, whether it is acting or music. The underground trafficking that goes on is crazy, and it's even crazier the people that defend it. I mean, I was laughing and kikiing about the TD Jake situation because I think it's hilarious that people are finally getting exposed, especially in these churches. And me being a former preacher's kid, former preacher's daughter, me having grown up in the Apostolic Pentecostal Church, aka cult, um, me having survived sexual abuse as a child and rape as an adult, I have always been researching like, where does this come from? Where does this behavior come from? And why do so many people do it? And why do so many people cover for it? And why are people so afraid to expose it? Because they don't want to end up having people turn on them. And for Katt to have kept it so real in his interview with Shannon Sharp, to have the platform that he has, and to not have been afraid to speak on it, he has my utmost respect, because I already respected him for who he was by him exposing, like he talked about Michael Jackson in quite a few of his stand-ups, and people were laughing. It's like, you don't realize how programmed and conditioned you are until you start watching stand-ups where you see people laughing about rape. Like he said on the Shannon Sharp interview, and I took a snippet of it that I'm going to edit and post, where he said rape is never funny, no matter who it happens to or for whatever reason, and it should not be in movies. And I definitely always felt that way after experiencing having been raped. It's very difficult for me to watch something like that in a movie. Even Sausage Party, that's one of my favorite movies. It's hilarious, but I really hate that they even have the scene in that movie. So, like I said, the fact that he's not afraid to, speak on these things, that this should not even be going on. But then you have to think about it. Well, the people that run Hollywood, the quote unquote elite, as they try to call themselves, um, they do sacrifices to other deities to have what they have. So when one sells their soul, they sell their soul through a sexual act. And TD Jakes, I have talked about for years about how the crooked that man is. And for those who don't know, I am a spiritualist before I'm anything. So, yes, I put out content that's funny. I put out music. I put out artwork. I put out, all the things that I do with my editing and production. But I am a spiritualist first. And my job on this planet is to bring healing and to help raise the overall vibration. That is the true calling of what is called a high priestess. A lot of people, and I need everybody to understand that you've been conditioned to fear what you don't understand. So the minute people hear spirituality or high priestess, they equate that to demonic, because that is what your religion, which your religions are all have Luciferian foundations. Um, that's what they taught you, was not to question anything, so that you're a lot easier to control. So again, I was raised Apostolic Pentecostal, where everything you did was a sin. If you wore open-toed, open-heeled shoes, you were going to hell. If you wore a skirt with a split in it or pants, you were going. I mean, everything you did, you were going to hell. So trust me when I say it's taken me years and decades even to uncondition the conditioning that was, put into me my whole life. And that's why I talk about these things. It is to help bring healing not only to my trauma, but to the trauma that others have endured. Because, like I said, Katt is the only comedian. He is the only comedian who I have ever heard not be afraid to talk about what's really going on. Um, Even on the one he did, what was it, Great America, where he talked about, he said, what did he say? He said, white people didn't tell us nothing this election. He said, we didn't know anything was wrong until we see white people getting in line voting. And, he talks about like all of that. He talks about, the voting, Trump. He makes a joke out of it, but he's also bringing it to the forefront of everybody's mind when he talks about this stuff. So that's why I've always admired Katt, because I can honestly say I've never watched any of his stand-ups that I did not find funny. Not one. And he has never been afraid to go there. He's never been afraid to call it out, tell it like it is. And if motherfuckers don't like it, oh well, he's still gonna speak his mind. He's still gonna keep it real, and he's gonna keep it 100. And I liked that he, spoke on TD when he said, "This is a year so much gets exposed. It's so much bigger than P Diddy, TD Jakes, Kurt Franklin, Juanita Bynum." I really hope all you religious people that are worshiping these pastors and these leaders understand that you're committing idolatry. Juanita Bynum is a walking demon. Literally, she's a legion. I've seen them on her, and I hear them when she speaks. That video of her telling that lady to shut the hell up while she was singing, bitch, that ain't no spirit of the Most High. If that ain't some Luciferian shit for your ass to tell a motherfucker who's trying to praise and worship with you to shut the hell up. God is using me. Which one? Because the show ain't the Most High, bitch. I'm just saying. She be on that bullshit. Um, but it's the truth. And TD, I mean, come on, man. Look, it took me the longest time to accept my sexuality, to accept who I am. I am fluid. If you want to label me, you can say I'm bi. I'm attracted to men and women. Um, you have a gaydar. You know who is family. TD been family for a long time. P Diddy been family since really before the 90s, but that's when that nigga just really went crazy. And then you see all these videos, Jaguar Wright talking about it, talking about why would TD Jakes be at a P Diddy party? You're only at a P Diddy party for money and sex, which is the truth. I'm editing that video that I'm gonna have posted probably by the end of this week. It's the year of exposure, and I'm glad about it because too many people, too many people have been victims of sexual assault, sexual abuse, molestation, rape, men and women, adults and children. And it is literally a spiritual infection. It is, in fact, a demon. Only a lower vibrational demonic presence will motivate one to physically force themselves onto someone else or to harm them or to perform a sexual act. In fact, and I'm actually going to, on my next live, um, I might even do it this one if I can find the bookmarks. Because normally I have them open before I start the live, but I didn't actually plan on what I was going to speak on. But I do want to speak on this because it's the truth. And I've done so much research about this. What religion calls fornication and adultery, the root word for fornication is not premarital sex. It's not sex before marriage. It is, in fact, sexual rituals that people do. When you fornicate, you are committing a sexual act with someone with the intention of invoking a demonic presence. That's actually what fornication is. And as well as adultery and homosexuality have everything to do with pedastry. If you look at the root word for adultery and for homosexuality, it all leads back to the word pedastry. Pedastry is the root word for pedophilia. So when the Bible speaks about adultery, fornication, and homosexuality, it's speaking about pedophilia, meaning a grown man forcing himself on a male child. It has absolutely nothing to do with consensual sex between same sex partners. Absolutely nothing. And I've done years and years of research on this. In addition to adultery means pedophilia as well, meaning adults who want to be accepted for having sexual attractions to young children, like the new sexual orientation that one of the Catholic Church leaders was trying to pass, talking about minor attracted sadomasochism. They wanted to add that to the LGBTQIA community as an accepted um, sexual orientation, and it was voted out. The irony is this bill passed 10 years ago this month. It passed, it didn't pass. They discussed it January of 2013. And the leader of the organization that was trying to get that passed as a new sexual orientation, ironically, was a pope, a Catholic pope. And everybody knows that the Catholic Church is known for having same sex forced relationships between adult men and the young men that work in the church. This is something that is so rampant and so well known. While people also claim to be fighting against it, the very people claiming to fight against it in these high positions, spiritual wickedness in high places. What is it? Ephesians 6 and 20, I believe. Spiritual wickedness in high places. So you have to think about people like popes, cardinals, preachers, ministers, pastors, evangelists, these people in these positions in these churches use their position to manipulate and abuse those innocent children, teenagers, and even adults. They will convince people that having sex with them is spiritual, it's holy. Just like how a pedophile conditions a child that what they're doing to them is love. So that child goes on to believe that the sexual abuse, this is how they show love. It's all a mind fuck. And the reason that I'm not afraid to speak on it is because I'm not. I feel like after all these years of suppressing the events that happened to me, and then me, doing therapy, life coaching, just seeking healing on my own, in addition to grief counseling, therapy, all of that. It's like you suppress these things for so many years and it comes out in the most fucked up ways. When you try to have relationships with others, it can turn into abuse, acceptance of abuse. Um, you know, mental breakdowns, like women who have PTSD, anxiety attacks. Lord knows I have definitely had those. It's like you have to live with the trauma after it happens because it can never be erased. You just have to learn how to heal and how to cope and how to deal with it. And so that's why I speak on what I speak on. And even to the effect, the church where I was a member, where I was raped, it's like when you grow up in these churches, you think that what they're telling you and what they're teaching you is right. And again, me being a former preacher's daughter, of course, I was fully invested, being raised in it. And then we had a church, and then my uncle, had a church and was a bishop. And the church that I grew up in, that pastor, it's like, you literally are born and raised in this as a community. You don't know that it's wrong until you leave. And I think about like Leah Remini and Mimi Faust, who talked about what it was like when they left like the Church of Scientology. Essentially, leaving the Apostolic Pentecostal Church was the same thing. When you leave, you are an outcast. You are literally an outcast. Um, they treat you like you're an enemy of the state. And then if you start to speak your truth and start exposing things, then people start wanting to threaten and, say and do things that they think will harm you, not knowing that every negative thing that has been said has been heard, recorded, and reversed back to them immediately. So when life starts being fucked up for them and they don't know why, they have no idea that it's their own evil intentions that they sent out that were reversed back, because people like me have angels and ancestors and spirit guides, and yes, even demons that work on my behalf for my highest good. Because again, I'm a spiritualist first. One thing I know is that there are covens that have been doing spiritual work to try to stop my throat chakra, to prevent me from speaking my truth. Some of these covens exist in these churches where I was formerly a member of. And no weapon formed against me shall ever prosper. Like I always pray, any energy rising up against me will fall by the wayside immediately and be destroyed, and chaos and confusion will come about their camps, and death and hell will follow their evil intentions back to them. You can never hurt or harm me. It will always be reversed back to you immediately. And my truth is my truth. Whoever it makes uncomfortable, I don't care. I need everybody to understand that. Like I had posted recently, anybody who is mad at you for speaking your truth is a person who has been living a lie and benefiting from living that lie. So of course a liar don't want to be exposed. Pedophile, a pastor, in fact, who is a pedophile and participating in sex trafficking doesn't want to be exposed. That's why people have been shutting their churches down when they've been getting exposed. The church in Hannibal, Missouri, that was under investigation all last year. It's ironic how Robin Andrews shut that church down because too much information was getting exposed. And if you think that shutting down a church is going to stop the Most High, you can't hide at all. You can't hide. So like I said, I'm glad Katt Williams spoke on this stuff. I'm glad TD Jakes and Diddy and the rest of these nasty motherfuckers are getting exposed. It really broke my heart when I found out that Dwight courted Jordan and married her. In my mind, you will never be a pastor because I know who you really are. I know who you really are. And all this corruption going on is insane. Hold up, where's mine? All of this corruption is insane. It is all insane and it needs to stop. Period. Let me find it. My battery is forever doing it. All right. Oh, I had to get that. Yeah. What the fuck ever. It's plugged in. I need to get a new laptop because this battery don't last worth a damn. And I had to find my adapter. But like I said, I'm glad it's all getting exposed. Um, to come from being raised in church to researching to find out that everything they taught us was a lie, including Jesus, whose true name is Yeshua. Yeshua was not Caucasian ever. The true Christ was not white. And you grow up in these churches where they teach you that Jesus is white, God is white, teaching white supremacy. All of these things I have heard Katt speak on over the years in his stand ups. And ew, okay, gross. Apparently, the soda I drank just came out in a whole belch on live. That's disgusting. But anyway, um, he talked about it. Storm Monroe talked about the way he roasted TD Jakes. That shit had me dying. I am gonna post that clip from his live because he said ain't nothing wrong with that fat ass nigga. After he got exposed, and here's the thing: I've been saying for decades that motherfucker was gay. I've been saying that shit, bro. Like literally, been saying that shit, and it's just funny to me, like between 2022 and 2024, everything that these people and these, like they said, spiritual wickedness in high places, everything that these pastors and these preachers have tried to hide, God is not allowing it. Most High is like, y'all done got away with this shit for so long. And keep in mind, this planet does belong to Lucifer. It does. Lucifer and the angels that followed, that were kicked out of heaven, were kicked out and hurled down to this planet. When I died, went to heaven and came back. When I came back here, I fell for what felt like an eternity. I just kept falling. And the closer I got to earth, the more of the void and disconnect you feel from the Most High. That's the reason that demons exist. They are fallen angels that have become angry because they're cut off from source. Essentially, that's exactly what it is. And the wrath of God is not death and destruction like they taught in church. The wrath of God is removing the presence of God, the love of God from people. So, like, think about it. Like, if you, like me, I'm a Scorpio, I'm a very all or nothing person. So, when I decide I'm done with a person, I'm not gonna lash out at you. I'm just gonna cut you out silently. You will just find yourself not having access. That's essentially what the wrath of God did towards the fallen angels. It was like, okay, you want to carry that spirit of pride and idolatry and, narcissism. So y'all can get the hell up out of heaven and y'all can go to your own planet. So, like I said, this planet belongs to Lucifer. So you have to understand that when the Bible says, what is it, Romans 12, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. I believe that's Romans 12. I have to look up the Bible. Let me look it up on my phone right quick. But essentially, what that is saying is if the whole world is telling you to go one way, you might want to go the exact opposite way. If the whole world is following after somebody or something or a specific belief that is not in alignment with raising your vibration, you might want to go the other way. Hold on, let me look up the Bible website because I do think that's Romans. 12, if I'm not mistaken. And for those who don't know me, like especially new people in my life, again, I was raised in church, but I got a potty mouth. So if you can't handle me cussing, I already put in a disclaimer. My channel is raw and uncensored. So I mean, if you can't handle that, then you should probably not ever tune into none of my lives. Yeah, it is. It's Romans 12:1. So Romans 12:1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your body as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Chapter, or not chapter. This is Romans chapter 12, verse 1, verse 2. And be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. And so do I come in the religious package? No. Do I know the word? Absolutely. And what I also know is that the Bible has been edited and translated and divided and voted on at the Council of Nicaea. So many books were taken out in the Apocryphas that I have researched since I was 11 years old. Nobody taught me any of this. I literally found out all this on my own, because how I was raised is you don't question God, you don't question the church, you don't question the pastor, you just do what you're told. And you get tired. I was always that inwardly rebellious kid. Like, I got tired of being told what to do. Tell me why I should believe this. Tell me why I should follow this. Just because that's what everybody does don't mean it's right. And so that's what I had to figure out growing up, when I had to break free of the mental conditioning, when I decided to just up and leave at 3 o'clock in the morning and just bounce, just be done. That started my wilderness experience. How the Bible talk about Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. Christ was not religious. I'm going to say that one more time. Christ was not religious. You never saw a scripture in the Bible where Christ belonged to anybody's church, because Christ was the church. So when I say I am the church, or I am God, and people get angry, it's because you're still on the lower realm. If you really think about the story of Christ, Christ was in the streets. Christ was with the people. Christ might go into a temple to say a word or two, but Christ was not a bishop, a pastor, a minister, an evangelist, a pope. Christ wasn't none of that. Christ was energy. So that's why I say that. If you say that you are a Christian, but you are following religion, you're following a Luciferian religion. Christianity was started by a pagan who worshiped Lucifer, Constantine, who also created Christ Mass, aka Christmas, and Satan Claus. So, it's very deep. It's very deep, the mind fuck. Christ is energy. So, if you say that you are like Christ, then you are the modern day manifestation of Christ. Just like if you resonate with God energy, high vibrational God energy, divine energy. That's why I reference God as the divine. If you resonate with that, then you're the manifestation of God. The reason Christ was crucified is because Christ brought the love of God into this dark realm. Again, this planet belongs to Lucifer, a fallen angel who transformed. Hear that again, a fallen angel that transformed, the great deceiver. So when you see all these pictures of a white Christ, that's the Antichrist. Literally. Because Yeshua was melanin. They don't want you to know the truth because they don't want you to know your power. Hold on. Damn it, I'm trying to respond to this text. My phone is being dumb. But like for real. So that's why for me, look, I know I could get paid a lot of money if I get on Instagram and TikTok and everything, and I'll be on there half naked, showing my ass, showing my titties, because I got a fat ass and big titties. I mean, let's be real. Um, I do yoga, keep my body up. I can make a lot of money doing that superficial shit, or I can do what I was actually sent here to do, which is help to unlock the minds of those who are brainwashed, those who are blindly following. When I had the premonition of the movie that I'm writing, Gog versus Magog, um, it was so clear as day. And I had this premonition after I died, went to heaven, and came back. And keep in mind, the angel showed me everything when I crossed over. And they showed me, for anyone who's ever been to a convention center, when you go inside of a convention center, there's an auditorium with two big double doors, right? So in this premonition, it showed me, my premonitions look like holographic images. So like if you've seen shit, I don't know, any movie with a holographic image, that's what it looks like when they're showing me visions. So anyway, it showed me hanging suspended in the air, two double doors, and all the different religions that exist. Every one of their symbols are over the door, unified, aka New World Order. Then there was a very narrow door that looked kind of rugged, kind of ironically like the old rugged cross. And it was real skinny. And above that door was the name Yeshua. I had never heard the name Yeshua until I had this vision, because I was not raised to believe in any sort of Hebrew, nothing. Again, I was raised apostolic Pentecostal. So above the narrow door, it said the name Yeshua, and then in parentheses, it said AKA Jesus Christ, which means also known as Jesus Christ. I saw myself and very few friends, relatives go with me. Everybody was pouring into the double doors. And I remember I clearly saw TD Jakes. I saw TD Jakes, Joel Osteen, Tyler Perry. I saw, what was the white lady's name? What was her name? The charismatic. Oh, I can't think of her name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But the white lady preacher that's out there all on YouTube and stuff. I saw all these big Benny Hinn, all of them. I saw all these big religious names and these big mega church pastors and people. Oh, I trust I remember this. I remember this so clear. Everybody kept saying, I trust TD Jakes. I trust TD Jakes. All of a sudden, TD Jakes was standing on a pulpit, and the pulpit caved in and he fell. And when he fell into a pit of fire. And every one of his pastors, members, I mean, it was like it's this invisible rope. They all followed and they all fell into this pit. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And mind you, I had this premonition I had after I died in 2008. I had it again in 2013. And I was like, so TD Jakes is going to fall. I remember saying that out loud. I was like, TD Jakes is going to fall. But I didn't know exactly how. And God kept telling me he's a false prophet. Don't follow him. And a lot of people who I know follow him. He's a black preacher. He's famous for the whole prosperity teaching, and give your money, and Lord knows I was caught up in that bullshit in Florida, giving all that goddamn money to that church just for that bitch to shit on me. When I lost my job, got furloughed due to COVID, my damn uncle died from COVID. That bitch still was a bitch to me. And I'm talking about the bitch that was the pastor of the church that was teaching the prosperity bullshit. These people teach this stuff because they know that they can play on your heartstrings and get you to give them their money. TD Jakes, Creflo Dollar, all of these crooks, even Joel Osteen, all of these crooks, even the one I used to follow from Elevation Church, he's involved in it. And every last one of them are Masons on top of that. Then TD Jakes has a long time relationship with P. Diddy and invested in his businesses and tried to start a all kind of just blasphemy and idolatry. The same energies that got Lucifer kicked out of heaven in the first place and cast it to this earth. So then I asked the angels, and then why are we here? Is earth hell? They said no. Earth is below hell. Because hell is in heaven. The Bible talks about a great gulf fixed when you go to heaven, to where you can look through the gulf and see hell. When I went to heaven, I was able to see the gulf, y'all. I saw the gulf. I saw a lot of my people on the other side of the gulf. People I love, relatives, family, friends, blindly following these false prophets. And it is the members that put the leaders in God's place. When I went to heaven, I asked the angel of life that was showing me everything. I said, what is sin? They said, man created the concept of sin. There's no such thing as sin in heaven. The only thing that is considered against the Most High is if you choose to worship other deities, if you choose to sell your soul to other deities. Outside of that, our human life is completely up to us. And we were also never created to kill one another. They did tell me that. They said, you were never created to kill or rule over one another. You were created to bring God into a dark place in this planet, to be the light, the true light, the divine light, not the Luciferian light, the divine light. So when I think about Katt Williams and how much raw realness he has, and he's not afraid. One thing about Katt, he always talks about God. He always talks about prayer and how he's never going to sell his soul. That's why I fuck with Katt. Just like with the Freestyle King. Come on now. Flip. When Flip started rapping at the Rap Economics concert in November, he said, and I never sold my soul. I pay attention to people in the industry that don't sell their soul, because they're usually the chosen. Usually, if they're in the industry and they not with that shit, it's because they're one of the chosen. I definitely know Katt Williams is one of the chosen. I know for a fact he is. I know for a fact Storm Monroe is one of the chosen, because Storm, even though he's younger than me, Storm has spoken on spiritual things that I've been trying to tell people for years that they called conspiracy theorists until now, because a lot of things that they said was a conspiracy theory that I predicted back in 2013 has actually manifested in real time between 2023 and now. Because the gifts that I have, I was born with, and I use them for good. But if a person says they didn't sell their soul, they know what's up. Them the people you need to pay attention to. Them the real ones. And they also the ones that people, the real gets ostracized just like Christ did. I mean, if you think about the Bible, when it says, therefore I am crucified with Christ, I need to find that scripture. The crucifixion is people not fucking with you. The crucifixion is people turning on you because you speak in your truth. They crucified Christ because Christ brought the truth. Christ was love. Christ was pure love. Christ was not, oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate that. You going to hell. Matter of fact, if you read the Bible, not one sermon that is recorded of Christ did he talk about people going to hell. But yet in the churches I was raised in, that's all they teach. Because if they can get you to constantly be afraid of going to hell, they can get you to keep coming through the doors and giving you their money. You know how many times I heard these motherfuckers say this shit in these damn meetings, in these administrative offices? They talked about how they manipulate the members to get them to keep coming through the door so that they can fund XYZ program that don't exist and be spending the money on themselves. Yeah, like I said, I know a whole lot, and I'm exposing all of it because that's what I'm supposed to do. Hold on, let me find, where is that scripture? There we go, Galatians 2:20. I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Do y'all understand that? That just lined up in a crazy way with what I'm saying. Because I keep saying that, man, it's not to take away Christ's power, because there's very much so power in the name of Christ. Me having worked in these churches doing spiritual work, doing exorcisms, casting out demons, I've done all of that. I'm a spiritualist. When they hear Christ, they have to obey. They have to bow. They have to tremble. There's power in the name of Christ, but let's get the correct name. And Christ is an energy that you carry. Christ is not a deity that you worship. That's where they've mind fucked us. If I say I resonate with Christ, I am Christ. So who am I going to worship? Myself? No, I'm going to present the energy of Christ to the human race. That is truly what we're supposed to do. Not sit up in a damn church in a robe and collecting offerings and, doing all this hypocritical, judgmental shit. But meanwhile, your leaders are pedophiles and rapists and whores and undercover gay. I mean, it's a whole entire community of bullshit, community of hypocrisy. Then when you speak on it, oh, you're tearing down the church. No, I'm speaking my truth based off of my true life experience. Because I've worked in all of these churches. I know exactly what goes on behind closed doors. And when we found out that the pastors of the churches where the demons would not leave were doing sex trafficking, pedophilia, rape. Yeah. When I tell you I know a lot, I know a lot. And the shit should never go on inside of any church. Like, I just, it bothers my spirit. It does. It bothers my spirit a lot. And I said what the fuck I said about Dwight and BJ in the church because it's the truth. Y'all some nasty motherfuckers. Any grown ass man messing with children, whether male or female, you are nasty as fuck. And my prayer for you is that you get your motherfucking mind right before you die. Because if you don't, the torture you're going to endure in the afterlife, everything you did to them people is going to be done to you for all eternity. Imagine that. Imagine you raped a bunch of kids and your ass is getting raped in eternity and nonstop. Because the thing about it is that energy don't come from the Most High. And those who like to argue that, well, it happened to them and that's why they did it. It happened to me. I ain't never raped or molested a child. I'm protecting children. My nieces and nephews protected. You come near any of them, it's a wrap for you, motherfucker. Like dead ass. So it ain't about, oh, I'm going to not speak on it because people are going to be afraid. Man, fuck people. Fuck what you think. Was you in my life when the shit happened? Was you around when it happened? No, so shut the hell up. I don't care. This is my truth. If you don't like it, I've been told people you can unfollow, you can block, you can unsubscribe. But I'm not going to not speak my truth in order to be accepted by anybody, because the only acceptance I need is my own. Once I realized that I truly am the manifestation of the Most High, I mean, we're human, we're light and we're dark, we're balanced. So if I am light and I am darkness only in this realm, then I'm going to do the mission I was given to come back to this planet. Because when I died, I didn't want to come back here. I didn't. I told the Most High that. I was like, Most High showed me everybody that was sad. I was like, I don't care. I'm for real, because heaven is so. The Bible don't even do heaven justice, bro. Like, it doesn't. I can't even. I can't even humanly explain it. It is such a place of bliss. It is such a place of love. I can only think about the feeling you feel when you first come out of your mother's portal and they put you in her arms, and all you feel is your mom's love. All you feel is love. Forever, infinite. Because time doesn't exist there. Even the lobby of heaven is nothing but love. I mean, it's love. That's it. I can't. It's infinite love. It's infinite bliss. And to leave there and come back here is desolation. It's desolate. And so I didn't want to come back here, man. Shit. I was like, man, I could just stay up here. Like, I don't have to go back and deal with all the low vibrational energies on this planet. But I told the angel, because they showed me, man, they showed me my life on a human version of Monopoly. And at the end of Monopoly, where it says collect $200, at the end of my Monopoly was my wedding, my children, and my success. But not just that, it was the spiritual awakening. So for me, I did sign up for this. There be times I'd be mad when I'm sick and stuff. And I'd be like, I didn't sign up to be going through all this shit. Then my answers be like, nigga, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Because you told us you was going to do this mission. Now you got to goddamn do it. But dead ass though, man. Like, once I had that experience, that's when everything changed for me. That's when I changed. And I tried so hard to stay. It's like they say, once your eye is open, you can't close it. The real reason the Bible says Adam and Eve committed a sin, their eyes were open and they were as gods. They don't want you to unlock your third eye, your pineal gland. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know your power. They don't want you to know that you are God, and not in a blasphemous, I'm above God way. But this is a desolate, dark planet. So if you are not the manifestation of the Most High, then you are most definitely the manifestation of Lucifer. That's why you have to elevate your thinking beyond religion. Fuck religion. That shit ain't got nothing to do with God. And once the angels in heaven confirm that, that's when I stop. Fuck all of that. If I could have died and gone to heaven and come back and experience God and experience the love of God on such a pure form. Think about like when you are at your highest level of joy. Some people cry when they're at their highest level of joy. I think about back in the day when I was in church and the Spirit of God would come in there and people would shout and cry and you would just feel this intense joy. So magnify that by 1,000,000,000 times and you still can't feel the love of God that I felt when I was in heaven. Nothing compares to it. And there's no time. Time does not exist in heaven. It only exists in this realm and in certain dimensions. And time is a low vibrational energy. Time itself is a low vibrational energy. Because where there's infinite energy, there is nothing that stops it. So when I went to heaven, I felt infinite love and bliss. No one, nobody wants to come out of comfort to discomfort. Think about when a child is born, they smack you on the ass to get you to cough up all of the mucus and shit from your mom's embryonic fluid. So our presence into this world is pain. That's why babies cry. They got to make sure your lungs work. But in heaven, it's just love. So me having experienced that and then having to come back here, like I said, when I fell like forever. And I was like, damn, when am I going to be there? And then I kept trying to pull myself back up and they wouldn't let me go back up. It's like, no, you got to do this mission. You got to go back. So as I'm, discovering different things for my animation, I just discovered AI. I am producing my movie Gog versus Magog as an animation because I need to be able to visually edit and produce how I fell from heaven back down to earth. And when I woke up in my body, because I've been an astral projector since I was like 4 years old, I saw myself fall back into my body. And when I breathe like it was the first time I breathed ever. And I was choking and crying and shit. That shit was scary as fuck coming back here. It was a little scary leaving. Because like what literally happened to me when I died, I felt an icy cold hand reach into my chest and squeeze my heart and stop it. And everything went black. And I knew in that moment I was dead. And then I started traveling through dimensions, just like on Thor Ragnarok, the first Thor Ragnarok, not the most recent one, when Thor got cast out of Asgard and they showed all the different color light beams and shit. Yeah, that's real. That's absolutely what happened to me when I died and I translated. I went through all the supernova lights and traveled through time and boom, I was in heaven. Getting there is quick. Coming back, a long ass journey. And you just keep falling and falling and falling and falling and falling. Like imagine yourself in an elevator, but ain't no walls. That's the best way I can humanly explain it. Imagine yourself in an elevator that has no walls and you're just falling and falling and falling. That's what it was like to come back down to earth. And when I woke up, I didn't feel the love of God anymore that I felt in heaven. I felt the void. So you long for that feeling, you long for that love. That's why people do certain drugs to get that euphoria feeling. But realistically, you can get that feeling in subspace. And you can get the subspace in different ways. Subspace can be found by tarrying for the Holy Ghost. Subspace can be found through sex. Subspace can be found through meditation. And even subspace doesn't compare to heaven. It's like kind of, but it's still not the same. So for me, like my platform is for healing. That's why I put out stuff about just random things about healing. I'll put out stuff, especially comedy, because humor and laughter is a big healer. And then I put out, if I cook something or whatever, my chef skills, I put that out. But mostly I put out content because I need people to wake up, man. I need people to wake up. There's so much distraction on social media that ain't got shit to do with your soul when you die. I love the fact that my ancestors paved the way for us to have freedom, to have women like Meg Thee Stallion, Black women in power, doing a motherfucking thing in the music industry. To have women who can be themselves. And that is all great because I love music. But how does that help your soul? How does it help you when you're about to die? See, I'm a 2-time thyroid cancer survivor. I have died and come back to this planet more than once. There's nothing wrong with laughing, kikiing, talking shit, having a good time. But when it's all said and done, when Russia comes over and takes over this country, which is going to happen in the near future, when the freedoms that we think we have right now, which are civilian bullshit, the freedom we think we have, when all of that is gone and you are faced with death, that then and only then is the time that you think about your soul. Then and only then is the time that you think about what all have I done while I've been here? What difference have I made in someone else's life? How have I helped bring healing to this planet? It's so much bigger than the shit you see every day. And that's why I really try my hardest to encourage people and try to lift people up. But then there's times that I need that. There's times that I need encouragement, that I need, for somebody to say something to me. And so I go within, I go to the Most High within me. I really believe that's what Christ was talking about. Because the story of how Christ got here did not make sense. Now, what I researched, and this is about to get dark, but I found a lot of empirical proof that Christ was a product of rape, that Mary was raped. And the reason they tell the story of Mary being a virgin was to cover up the fact that she was raped. And that was the real reason Joseph did not want to have sex with her. For those that follow me on Instagram, you'll see when I posted about all of the counts of rape that are in the Bible and how that was perfectly acceptable for women to be raped and then to even have to marry their rapists. That was actually a law back then. And when the Bible talked about in Exodus, Sodom and Gomorrah, it wasn't homosexuality, as far as consensual sex. It was literally men that were seeking other men to rape them as a satanic ritual. There has so much of what we have been told is lies. And when I started discovering this truth, I felt just like Sausage on Sausage Party when he discovered the truth and he tried to tell people and like nobody would listen to him. And then they called him crazy and he's like, I'm showing you proof. Like, I swear to God, that's me. Because it's like, I've been telling people this shit for years. And now some people are seeing it, but a lot are still asleep. And the ones that are asleep, unfortunately, are the ones that are going to follow these false prophets and these leaders. And the Bible talks about that, in the last days, many shall depart from the faith. And they'll give heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. Well, again, if your leader is on some Luciferian satanic shit, then what spirit do you think you are worshiping at church? If Lucifer transformed to an angel of light, a lot of y'all be calling that the Holy Ghost. That's the Luciferian spirit that you feel in that church. For those who have questioned what I've spoken on, Google the Council of Nicaea, Nicea. Just Google it. You're going to start seeing what I'm talking about. Start looking up the Apocryphas. Now, see, again, I'm an 80s baby. So when I was in high school, it was in the 90s. when I was in college, it was in the early 2000s. I went to the actual library. I didn't go online. I went to the actual library and I found every apocrypha in real time in actual paper books, not an app. And I read every apocrypha that I could find. And these apocryphas are missing books of the Bible that were voted out at the Council of Nicaea. The Council of Nicaea was ran by Masons. So before you judge spirituality, please fully research the foundation of your religion. Every religion was started by a Luciferian. Let me say that one more again. Every religion was started by a Luciferian. And Constantine, the Roman emperor, was a pagan worshiper. Very much so the founder of Christianity and Christ Mass, aka Christmas. And Christ Mass was technically the celebration of the sun god Saturnalia on December 25th. And during that festival, they made sacrifices through sex and rape. Men would beat and rape their wives and then have sex with each other to make sacrifices to that deity, Saturnalia. And they gave gifts. And it was a time of cheer. Sound a lot like Christmas, don't it? Oh my God. But y'all want to call people conspiracy theorists when there's empirical proof of all of this. Just like Easter, another pagan day. Valentine's Day, St. Valentine did massacres and raped so many women like Jack the Ripper on Valentine's Day. But all around the world, you see a bunch of red hearts. The red hearts represent blood, bloodshed, rape, beheading. Start researching these damn holidays that y'all keep worshiping. Start researching that shit. Katt gave me the courage to be like, fuck it. Because they gonna talk shit anyway. You might as well tell the truth. That's what you're here for. You might as well speak your truth. My truth is not pretty. The things that myself and many others endured in these churches is not pretty. The things that P. Diddy and T.D. Jakes are being accused of, and Creflo Dollar and Kirk Franklin, Donnie McClurkin, Kim Burrell. I mean, these things that all these people are being accused of are very much real. And megachurches, I found out, megachurches are the hub for locating victims. I remember I saw a video, what was it, 2 years ago, when I was heavy into researching what SRA was, because I heard about it on some movie. And I was like, what the fuck is SRA? And they were like, it's satanic ritual abuse, where they traffic men, women, children of certain ages and races to force them to participate in satanic rituals. And during these rituals, they commit all types of adultery and fornication with these deities, to make sacrifices to the deities to continue to have their riches and their power on a planet that's already condemned. And this is how we know brainwashing is real. People have sold their souls through sexual abuse to have power and money on this planet, which was condemned from the very moment Lucifer and its angels were cast here. So you sell your soul to a deity that's already condemned to remain on a planet that's condemned, that is void of the love of the Most High. I never understood it. Never understood it. And I commend everybody in Hollywood who knows what's up and that's speaking about it. Because, like I said, there's people in these churches that I love. I mean, that I like, we have come up together. We like family. Son to me will always be family. But as long as you're in agreement with the leaders that are doing this shit, as long as you covering for them, as long as you sitting there participating in the services, man, I can't fuck with y'all. I just can't do it. Because I had to be fake my whole life being a preacher's daughter, being a bishop's niece. You have to do what's expected of you. You know, the family this, the family that, image this, image that. Don't talk about this, don't talk about that. So you suppress it and you suppress it until the shit starts fucking you up. Until you find out you have PTSD from all the abuse that you've endured and suppressed. Until you find out you have anxiety and depression from all the trauma that you just swept under the rug and just kept going like it was nothing. Because if you say anything, everybody that you know and love will turn on you. Everybody who you were raised with, they will not fuck with you no more. I did not think when I first came out about me being raped that so many people would turn. I was quite shocked when I talked about me being molested by my foster cousin. The people in my family that stopped fucking with me. And that shit took me years. I mean, years to deal with. And it is something that has affected me my entire life. Women who have fight or flight complexes, it's because of stuff like that. It's because of some sort of abuse where another person overpowered you. And now you're in a place where if I got to kill you to get you off of me, it's not going to be me, bitch. It's going to be you. That's the type of shit that happens when a woman, and men too, because men get raped too, when you've endured molestation and rape. And to have been molested physically at the church countless times, to have been molested physically, at the home, in the van, at school. I mean, just everywhere the person could bully you, like they would just do it. And then to find out as I got older, the reason that she did that is because she had been raped and molested by previous foster parents before she got to my aunt and uncle. My aunt and uncle helped to rehabilitate a lot of foster kids. But unfortunately, people either become what happened to them or they grow up to become protectors of others to prevent it from happening to them. And when I was a kid, I didn't know, I didn't know any of what was going on with her. I just knew that she was one of the kids my aunt and uncle took care of. And when I had my growth spurt, that was the first time. And I mean, I was molested for 3 years as a child. That was the first time I was able to overpower her. The rage in me, when I finally got big enough to like get that girl off of me after enduring that shit for 3 years, I don't even know if I blacked out. All I know is when I got big enough, I beat her until she bled. And it took like 3 of them teachers to pull me off of her in school. And they had me to go like talk with the school psychologist, like, why did this happen? And that was the first time I, told them, like, what she had been doing to me all those years. And they said, well, did you know that that's sexual abuse? And I didn't even know what that term was as a child, because these are things that your parents don't talk to you about. And that's why I feel like it's so important to talk about it. Because if you don't, like, I think about if my babies, if I wouldn't have miscarried and someone would have touched my babies, oh, you would be dead. There's no sympathy for that. There's no sympathy. So I think about all these things. Like, I was real quiet growing up because I'm an empath. I'm a Scorpio. I'm a silent observer. So a lot of people picked on me. A lot of kids picked on me. Then I wore glasses too. And then we was raised in church. So, we were already different. The way we acted, the way we dressed. And I remember they would pick on me and pick on me. And then I would flip the fuck out. It was because of all that shit. And then also just growing up being abused, because a lot of what your parents said was discipline was literally abuse, because they didn't know no better, because that's how they were raised. So it's like me knowing what it's like to be that kid, to have endured all of that, and to have had to hold it in for years and not talk about it and not tell people about it. And then when I finally decided, like, you know what, I've been running from my sexuality my whole life, I decided to just explore it in my adult years and found out that it felt natural to me to be with a woman. And even psychologically, my psychiatrist was like, well, that was your first sexual experience. Now, the problem is I didn't choose it. I didn't get to choose it, but it was my first sexual experience. So to me, when people say, well, it's not natural to be gay, to me, it was. It's natural for me to be attracted to boys and girls. So I have a problem when you use your religion that was founded by Lucifer. I have a big problem when you call yourself being a Christian and you condemn gay people. And I'm not saying that every gay person is a victim of sexual abuse, because they're not. There really are people who are born gay, whether folks want to accept that or not. There really are. Because there's also such thing as having a dual spirit. There's also a such thing as we all have past lives. If you're on this planet now, this is not your first time incarnating on this planet. And I have been lucky enough to see my past lives. And in some of my past lives, I was a female. And in some of my past lives, I was a male. So to me, being with a woman sometimes feels better than being with a man, depending upon what it is. I don't think that that makes me wrong or demonic. To me, it's natural. So you can't tell me that your religion that was started by a pagan worshiper is of the divine Most High when it teaches you to hate. But yet you let your own pastors get away with pedophilia. That's okay. You got registered sex offenders in these goddamn churches. That's okay. But if you're gay, oh, you're going to hell. When you don't even know that the person that wrote the foundation of your religion is already hellbound. So when people be like, do you go to church? Hell no. I went to church my whole life, 7 days a week. I worked in the church. I worked in the church that I was raped at, where the pastor told me not to tell the police because it'll bring a scandal upon the church. And he tried to counsel with me and my ex-fiance, because it was my ex-fiance that raped me. He tried to count, like, we was at his house every week talking to him. And it was like I tried to stay. I kept leaving him and coming back, leaving him and coming back. I would leave, he would find me. It was crazy. It was really crazy. So I think back on these things like molested at the church, molested by people in the church, raped by people in the church. The church is the most unsafe place for a child, in my experience and in many others' experience. Um, Maurice's book, Divorce in a Cult, is very profound. I could feel the energy of every person in that book that gave their story. And it broke my heart because it was even deeper than what I knew, than what I experienced. And there are so many who are still to this day trying to get over that trauma. Church trauma is real. Um, being born and raised in these communities and then choosing to go against the community by leaving, disconnecting, and speaking your truth, it's like a spiritual death. Because everything you've ever known, everyone you've ever known, they are not going to fuck with you because that's how they conditioned us. Like, basically, if they're not members of the church, they go into hell. That's what they teach you. I can remember when Bishop Jeremiah Reed would say, get away from your family. Stop hanging around your family. Stop calling your family. They go into hell. I mean, you would hear this shit all the time. And even like, I know that it wasn't cool, but when Aaron Magruder did that episode of Tyler Perry, supposedly the parody of Tyler Perry, the whole church sex cult shit and how he was just using, God and everything to get ass from dudes. I ain't gonna lie, man, that shit happens so much in real life. I can't speak on that. I don't know if if it was true or not. But I can say from my own experience, these people will use the name of Jesus to be in these churches taking advantage of people. My former stepdad did that. He was fucking all them bitches at our church, physically at the church, physically at their houses while their kids was home, and the kids told me about it when they grew up. So much corruption, so much of it, all in the name of God and Christ, and not at all what it's supposed to be. And like I said, me being at Christ Apostolic Temple and under Jeremiah Reed at that time, Jeremiah Reed was my father figure. He was my pastor. I really looked at him like that. It was never, for me, definitely, it was never anything physical. Because honestly, I can't even, like, I like older men, but when they too old, it's nasty. I'm sorry, that shouldn't, nah, because I don't them daddy issues that I had, that I healed. I never could look. The oldest I've ever dated a man is like 50. That's like the very oldest. And even then, it was boring. So when people would say lies like, oh, she was fucking Bishop, like that old ass nigga, no. He was like my grandpa's age. And I didn't see him in that way. At the time, I saw him as my spiritual father. So to be excommunicated from everybody simply because you leave, because you know something's not right. Everybody kept calling us brainwashed, and they trained and conditioned us to, of course, fight back. And we're not brainwashed. I'm here because I want to be. And then you get out the shit and you see you definitely was brainwashed. I can remember them asking us during service, how many of y'all would die for Bishop? And we would all stand up. How many of y'all would kill for Bishop if people came after him? And we will all stand up. And I think back to like the Jim Jones fucking cults that killed themselves. It's like, man, when I tell you, you got to know who the Most High is for yourself, you got to know for yourself. You got to stop putting these pastors in God's place, man, for real. Stop doing that shit. Not, like I said, when you look back in the Bible, you never saw Christ do any of that. You never saw Christ teaching you're going to hell. Christ's message was love and healing, not money and prosperity like TD Jakes and the rest of them. When they said that nigga charged $50,000 to come preach, why do you need 50 stacks if you are quote unquote spreading the love of God? In what way? How does that help? Like, the whole mind fuckery of giving money to a church and all the years that I did that shit, I'm like, man, that last church I was at, that was the last church I will ever be a member. Like, I will never be a member of nobody's church. But I remember doing my taxes and calculating that I gave over 5 stacks to that church in under a year, getting caught up in the whole prosperity teaching and planting a seed. And I remember, like, I planted a seed and then God blessed me with this and God blessed me with that. And I was buying clothes from the pastor boutique and editing videos and commercials and free marketing. It's like, you think about how they mind fuck people, man. They really use your desire to connect with the Most High to their financial advantage. Because, like, think about it. TD Jakes, how are you charging 50 stacks just to come preach at somebody's church? And the majority of the people in these churches are living paycheck to paycheck. I can remember being in church and giving money to the church and not paying my bills. I can remember doing that in my early 20s. Oh, God will make a way. And then when I fell up on hard times, ain't nobody help. Ain't nobody help. Just like like I said, when I got furloughed during COVID and we couldn't work all the months and I ended up becoming homeless, the same church I gave over them 5 stacks to did not put a dime towards trying to help. The most they did is they let me use the church van to move my stuff. And they would let me use the church van when I was going to go look for me a new place. And then took the church van away when I expressed that my feelings was hurt because my uncle ended up dying from COVID while I was homeless. And nobody reached out. Nobody gave condolences. The church, I remember having to explain to the Homelessness Housing Alliance and to another local church why I was needing their assistance. They were like, well, do you have a church home? I'm like, yeah, but I made excuses. Oh, they're a small congregation. Meanwhile, this lady was cleaning up with the online ministry. The church itself, the membership had went down once COVID fully hit and everything got shut down. It was maybe about 50 members and it went down to I think 10 or less. But the online ministry constantly having people on there. I mean, hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. And we're all giving offerings and giving seed offerings and give to God and God will give back to you. And when you're raised in church, you're taught that. You're taught to sacrifice and, God will bless you. And then life hits and the same church, crickets. And then the pastor talks shit about the members. The people that I was cool with at that church were telling me about it. And then I was witnessing it because she would be on Facebook talking shit. I'm like, I just gave all that money to the church. Like, how are you talking shit about me when I just gave all this money? You know what I'm saying? And she did that to all of us. And that's why we all ended up leaving. Cause it's like, bruh, we supporting your ministry. We supporting your boutique. We're buying clothes. I'm not only buying clothes, I'm modeling the clothes. I'm advertising the clothes. I'm making I'm doing all this work for free in the name of God to quote unquote help the church. And y'all ain't help me do shit. And you talk shit about me too. And you sent dark witchcraft and shit, thinking that that was gonna affect my life. And what's so crazy is her church got shut down. Before I left Florida, I drove past there. The whole thing was shut down. The whole church. And God had gave me a premonition on that. I had kept trying to go back to the church and stuff kept happening that wouldn't allow me to. After I went through all of that where they didn't help, Homelessness Housing Alliance helped me with getting my apartment, my down payment, and all that. They even helped find an apartment complex, that was helping those that were affected by COVID, that were furloughed. I got approved in 5 days from doing my application. And the day I moved in, I got approved for my first brand new car and drove the brand new car to church. And I didn't do it to stunt. I did it to show them that no matter what you thought you wasn't going to do, God made a way literally out of no way. And me having to explain to other communities that my own church did not help me is honestly what got me the help. And after that, I think I went one more time. And then God gave me that premonition where I was trying to get on the bus to go on a trip with them. And God yelled out of the sky, "Get off the bus," real loud. And I was looking at, like, this is my church family. Like, why am I going to get off the bus? God was like, "Get off the bus. I'm cutting the lights out in that church." And like literally the angels would not let me get on the bus. And then within 2 months, her church got shut down. And the day I left, the lights was out, the sign was down, everything. And that's what I'm saying. People that know me in real life know how caught up I was in that shit. They know how caught up I was in it. Because again, when you're raised in these environments, you tend to gravitate to what feels familiar, even if it's wrong. And she would use the pulpit to talk about everybody. And then she would start doing rituals during her lives. Like, I would do a prayer of protection, which I did when I first started this one. When I say any energy rise up against me will fall by the wayside immediately and be destroyed, that is because I know for a fact people are sending me negative energy. I know the covens that are working against me because they don't want me to speak this truth. But it's not, oh, I'm sending out demons. No, now if you fuck with me, then yes, my angels, ancestors, and demons will fuck you up. Absolutely. But I'm not sitting up, like, she would be calling people name out and telling, I was like, this is a lot like dark witchcraft for people who claim that spirituality and tarot and shit is wrong. Y'all show doing a whole bunch of this shit up in these goddamn churches. And then you start speaking on that and people start getting mad. They start getting mad. They start making threats. They start thinking that you finna be afraid of them. Not even knowing that my spiritual team already know where the fuck you live, bruh. They know what your car look like. They know where you work. I ain't got to do nothing. They gonna always work on my behalf. So when God told me to get off that bus, and I had kept trying to go back to that church, and every single time, something always happened. I had to finally accept it's time for me to let this go. This is not for me. This is not for my highest good. And the last time I had checked, that lady was sharing a church with basically they had tried to combine congregations into this one small little storefront. And it was a hot mess. And I'm like, and I gave all that money and time and energy and effort. Because here's the thing about Scorpios. If we fuck with you, we fuck with you all the way. So if you are doing something and we love it, we fuck with it, we're going to support it. 1000%. We're going to support it. And to me, I was a new member, but hey, when I first got there, like most of the churches, they're like narcissists. They love bomb you to get you in. And then They try to milk you for all your money. And when you stop giving money, they devalue and discard, just like real narcissists do. And that has been my real life experience in these apostolic Pentecostal churches. Funky Dineva talked about his grandma was apostolic a few times when he was still on Fox. So, man, that really breaks my heart. Sidebar. That does break my heart, man. Because TGIF, that was my favorite, man. But that shit y'all got going now, and that shit is whack. Anyways, Funky Dineva talked about that, about how his grandma would always be, talking about hell this and hell that. And he was talking about how the black church, ostracizes homosexuals and oppresses them. And I was like, it's just crazy because they teach that everything is wrong and that you go into hell except for pedophilia. You never ever hear preachers talk about pedophiles, but you sure hear them talk about sex before marriage, which again, fornication is not sex before marriage. Fornication is when you do satanic ritual abuse rituals where you are engaging in sex and then invoking demonic spirits. And adultery, again, pedastry, pedophilia, homosexuality, same thing, raping young boys. They teach you all these false concepts to keep you in a place of fear, because if they can keep you in a place of fear, they can keep your mind subjugated to their agenda. So if they can teach you that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and this is what you need to do to go to heaven, and as Lauryn Hill said, I just accepted what you said, counting me among the dead, then yeah, you will be along with that big crowd going through them double doors, following all the false prophets and not knowing who God for yourself. Me having died, went to heaven and came back, can't nobody tell me nothing. Literally, you can't tell me nothing because I've been there and I know what it really is. To anybody who has endured any sort of abuse, sexual, mental, physical, financial, especially from these churches, especially from these preachers, man, I really hope you heal. I really do. Because going through that shit, like I've told people, man, it wasn't your fault. It shouldn't have happened. And I pray that you can heal. And to those who did the shit and to those who participated in covering up for the people that did these things to us, death is coming swiftly. People have gotten mad because of the names I gave. I gave the names because I seen all three of y'all funerals. I seen Shelly Scott funeral, I seen Robin Andrews funeral, and I seen Jerry Reed's funeral. And I have seen funerals since I was 8 years old, and then people would die. Had no idea I was an empath, had no idea that I was a psychic, had no idea I was clairvoyant. All I know is I would dream of people's funerals and they would die. And my maternal grandmother was the first one I saw. I saw my grandma in her casket 2 days before she died, and I told my mom, and my mom got mad, and then my grandma died. And that's happened to me my whole life. So if I see a funeral, trust and believe they finna die. And when you have participated in trafficking young women and men for preachers, for pastors, for pedophiles, and you up in church talking about you praising God, y'all think it's a game. But the collector is coming to collect the souls of those who have sold their souls to him. And to those who have participated, I don't understand how any woman can participate in trafficking young children for grown men. And Shelly Scott absolutely did that shit. There's so many reasons her and Jeremiah Reed got into it when I was a member there. And the things that I know, the things that I seen, the things that I heard, the meetings I was in, all of that is why I left. Because I'm not. I told him. I said, look, I'm not doing this shit. I'm not finna sit here and know what y'all are really doing, but you gonna tell me to play the game? Well, everybody has to be sworn to secrecy. Why? Why did no one ask? Why? Why is it that when I tried to get help, I was deemed as being rebellious? I was deemed an outcast when I did go to the police. And they said, well, without evidence, there's not really much we can do. Yeah, to those who had negative things to say. Oh, I'm just now seeing these comments. Person said, what type of church did I go to? I went to, where are we at? I went to a church called Christ Apostolic Temple. It was a apostolic Pentecostal church. I didn't even see these comments till now. And yeah, it was like I went to Bishop and I said, look, I understand that how we were taught. People will say, well, they're lying on the pastor. No, not these kids. And I'm an empath too. So I feel feelings. I feel feelings, I feel intentions, and I feel energy. And me being a clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairaudient, psychic medium, I know a lot of things. I can read a person in a heartbeat. I can read you without making physical contact with you. So when there were certain children that were coming to me, telling me what was going on, I was like, okay, I'm not going to tell this baby I don't believe in, because I know what it's like to be that kid. So I went to Bishop Jeremiah Reed and I was like, we need to investigate this, especially in Hannibal, especially there, because we could not get those demons to leave that church. Again, they had me on the prayer team where we did exorcisms and cleared out demonic energies and had to go into actual spiritual warfare. That's why I talk about the things I talk about in terms of spirituality. So if there is sexual abuse going on amongst the leader, my God, the whole church is corrupted. And that does break my heart for the people in these churches who I love. Like my mother, she's a member right now. She wasn't a member when all of these things were going on. She's new to the church. I was a member of the church over 20 years ago. And the man who's the pastor there now wasn't even in church. He was the pastor's rebellious son that would come in the church fighting him, cussing him out in the middle of service in Iowa. Would come up in the church high drunk, just going the fuck off. And he's now the pastor there. Married Jordan at 18. He was 63. Bragged about how he was allowed to go on supervised dates with her when she was 15. And said some would say she hit a come up. Literally the same age as her fucking grandfather. And I remember when her mother was pregnant with her. I can see her as a toddler walking around the church, and you took this girl as your wife, and on national TV bragged about how you had sex with her in the bed of your dead father to summon his spirit into your child. But this is perfectly acceptable. All the people during the service were clapping and cheering when he said this. I said, they don't even know he just described satanic. That is literally one of the satanic ritual abuse that they do. Because when this shit happened to me, I had to research the foundation of it. What is this about? Why is this happening to so many of us in these churches and no one is doing anything about it? Because they're all in on it. All the pastors, all the leaders that are doing this shit, they're all in on it together. So they're not gonna expose each other. And then if members expose them, then they try to take them out. They start threatening to kill them. They start coming after you. But this is all in these churches acceptable. But God forbid you're gay. That's what I'm saying. Like this shit that Katt is talking about, all this shit coming out about these false preachers and shit, it's coming out for a reason, because this earth is about to be cleansed. Lucifer was only guaranteed 1,000 years reign here. After that, imprisonment on this planet. So that reign is coming to an end. And all who have been using the name of God in a blasphemous way, you are being exposed. To those who tried to make negative comments during Bishop Demetrius Senegal's live last year, after he did the live on Clubhouse, where Dwight's stepdaughter got on there detailing the sexual abuse he did to her at age 11, molested his own stepdaughter. And she said, this is not alleged, this is literally what he did to me. And she even said, I fear for Jordan. Jordan is his fourth wife. He has abused every wife before her. That's why you picked somebody who was 18 so you can control her and get her pregnant and have all these disgusting ass fantasies. Not to mention, Dwight was the pastor of one of the churches we could not get the demons to come out of. And at that time, he was under investigation in Louisiana for having sex with 12, 13, and 14-year-old girls. And then your own father, my former pastor, says you have, before he died, he said Dwight has a thing for young boys with blonde hair and blue eyes. So y'all got this whole pedophile pastor in your church and you got all your kids around him. And then several of the men on his pulpit have been accused of raping children. Some have even raped their own siblings. My former stepfather, I found out, raped his own brother and was fucking teenage girls while he was married to my mom. Statutory rape. That's why he got locked up. That's why he was on the run. Because one of the girls he fucked turned him in. She was 15, he was 49. So again, stuff I'm talking about is not alleged. This is my real life experience. And if I come from it and I'm against it, I'm not going to pretend to be with any of it or any of y'all. I love everybody from my past, but I release everybody in love, because if you are still fucking with Dwight in that church, I'm not fucking with you. The only person from that church that I talk to is my mother, because she's my mom. And she knows how I feel about Dwight. I respect her decision. She respects mine. But I speak my mind about him. Ain't no way in hell you going to tell me that nasty motherfucker is led by God, was led by God to fuck a 15-year-old behind closed doors and then wait until his father died to take her as his wife. And it was literally a business arrangement. He invested in her maternal father's music business in exchange for taking her hand in marriage. And he bragged about that too on TV. Talking about, we going back like the arranged marriages. You know, I invested in her dad's business and he gave me a young wife at 63 and she was 18. You nasty motherfucker. And the people like, she grown. She was groomed. Like so many. She was groomed. And I've seen the future of their child. The son is going to try to sacrifice her once Dwight is locked up in prison and Dwight gets killed in prison. Shit is disgusting, bro. And I'm so glad that Katt opened up this can of worms. More people need to be exposed. More of this shit needs to be talked about, because the less you talk about it, the more it's going to continue. The more young men and women are going to be getting abused and feeling embarrassed and ashamed to talk about it and tell anyone. Then you got grown people getting raped too and being silenced, being excommunicated, being singled out. That's how you know how diabolical this shit is. When the Bible says, let me get the scripture because I do believe it's Ephesians 6. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Let me find the scripture. But against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. Give me a minute to find the scripture. It is. I knew I was right. Told you I know the word. I'll be cussing, but I know the word. Ephesians 6:10 says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Verse 11, put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Verse 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers. Whenever you hear people here say the powers that be, they're referring to those spiritual deities. Powers is an actual level in hell. Just like there's levels in heaven, there's levels in hell. If you've ever researched Dante's Inferno and read John Milton's A Paradise Lost, you will find that there are a minimum of 9 levels in hell. One of the levels in hell is called the powers. So if you ever hear, again, people saying the powers that be, they're referring to those deities from that level within hell. And it says, verse 12, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Spiritual wickedness in high places are these pastors and preachers like T.D. Jakes. Spiritual wickedness are these pastors in high places like T.D. Jakes, like the Pope, like the bishops, the preachers, all this organized religion bullshit. They have put themselves in high places to use God to manipulate and control and basically engulf the minds of the people. It is all a huge mind fuck. Please know the word for yourself and also use discernment when you read the Bible, because again, it's been edited and edited and edited and edited. And some stuff in here is to promote toxic masculinity. Some of it is in here to promote manipulation and mind control. But then some of it is actually inspired word of God. You have to just know the spirit for yourself to be able to discern. But one thing that I do know is that this scripture has never left me in all my years. Even when I called myself, not leaving God, but just going through my spiritual transformation where I abandoned religion, I abandoned all of it. And I said, okay, now God, is just me and you. It's not a church no more. There ain't no pastors, ain't no preachers, it's just me and the Spirit of the Most High. And this particular scripture has never left me. Ephesians 6:10 through 12. And in verse 13, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand, stand. Verse 14, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness. So if the Bible is saying that, it said that you may be able to stand in the evil day. That means that evil is going to be here. But those who are the chosen are the ones to call it out and fight against it. That's why I said I'm not ever looking to be popular. Christ was not popular. Christ was crucified by his own people. Christ was betrayed by one of his own disciples. Martin Luther King was one of the most hated men in America. His daughter Bernice said that the day of his memorial. Those who have been truth tellers are always fought against, but the truth that they tell remains nevertheless. So for me, my truth is I know firsthand about how they use sexual abuse to gain prosperity and riches and wealth. I know firsthand how they use God and the church and the Bible to manipulate and mind control people so that you will not come into your power. So when people have negatively said, oh, she's into witchcraft, she's into this. No, I was born with gifts that I fully embrace. Because trust me, if I was into dark witchcraft, I would have been rich. I mean, come on now. The gifts I got, yeah, I would have been rich. I would have been sold my soul if that was the shit I was on. Fuck this planet. Yeah, I want to live a good life before I die, but worth my soul? Hell no, because this planet is already condemned. That's why I be like, fuck Earth, man. Like sometimes I be like, look, I don't want to do this mission no more because these people don't want to hear God know how. They want their ego stroked. They are still very much operating in Luciferian ego, narcissist energy. But then there are some who do want to hear. There are some who are on the same path that I'm on, the same journey that I'm on, looking for God in all the wrong places when God has been within you the whole time. That's why I can say I am God. If I'm resonating with God's energy, if I resonate with Christ's energy, then I'm the manifestation of Christ. I am Christ. I am God in this realm, in this dark place, just like Ephesians 6 said. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Just like when people send weapons of mass destruction, weapons of spiritual destruction. People be like, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. You need to understand what that actually means. That means people are going to fight against you when you are a truth teller, when you are chosen. They're going to try to take you down. They're going to try to take you out. They're going to try to silence you. They're going to try to threaten you. But this scripture says, put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to withstand. So withstand means it's going to be fucked up sometimes. Shit's going to happen. You still got to stand for what's right. To my nieces and nephews who I found out were sexually abused, my prayer for you is that you are healed. I'm sorry that happened to you. And I want the person that did that to you to be brought to justice. And I want you to know that it's okay to live in your truth. Accept your sexuality for what it is and know that God is not judging you. People are. And people ain't shit. Stop worrying about what people think about you and start focusing on what you think about you. And leave it at that. This shit goes so fucking deep. But I am actually getting tired. I do plan to do more lives talking about this. Until I start to see the minds of those that I know and love become unlocked, I'm not going to stop speaking on it. I don't care who gets mad. I've already accepted that Everyone from my past cannot be a part of my life. But I don't hate you. I love all of you. I just hope that you heal. I really do. And I hope that your mind unlocks, that you don't go through that wide door of delusion and destruction. Because that Gog versus Magog, I can see it in my mind right now. I just have to animate all of it because it was so crystal clear. And I forgot to include this as well. Part of that vision where it showed everybody going through the double doors and falling to their fate, they had gone into a convention center, just like the ones we used to go to when we had our national conventions. And they were showing a preview to the New World Order movie. And it was Disney that was, it was like a, when you're watching in a theater, you're watching a movie and before they show like, previews of other movies, it was essentially like that. It was like a trailer. There we go. It was like a trailer. And the original Lion King, the introduction where it's doing the, that whole African intro with the sun rising, it was just like that. They showed the sun rose from within the center of the earth. The sun rose. It literally came out of the earth. It was an actual sun that came out of the earth. And then it said, brought to you by Walt Disney, the New World Order. And it showed our society being controlled by mechanical beings that look very similar to Transformers and like Autobots. But these were like military grade mechanical machines, and these military machines were governing our society. It was like human police had been eradicated, and the whole like militia, police force, all of that were just mechanical beings. And so what's crazy about this is I had that premonition in 2008. It was about, I would say 4 months ago. I saw a video circulating about the RoboCops they have right now that they're testing out in California. It was what, California, I think Nevada, Utah. It was a few states, but it was definitely California. It was the main one. And they were showing armies of these mechanical beings with guns. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what the angel showed me in that premonition of Walt Disney Presents New World Order. So I am telling you this to be prepared, not to spread any fear, because those that are chosen, we win. The age we're in right now, this age of Aquarius and truth being exposed and things coming out, is not to fear, it's to prepare. Like Ephesians 6 said, put on the whole armor. If you're chosen, put on your armor. The armor is the Christ that you are carrying within you. The armor is the word of God that lives within you. The armor is your faith. And right now, those of us that are on this planet who are chosen, we are a part of the 144,000. So we have to fight. It's not about opinions at this point. It's about what God are you serving? And to those who have pledged to Lucifer and the Baphomet, that's your choice. But understand those deities aren't going to do anything but use you and then destroy you. So even for them, my prayer is that your mind is set free. And like I said, all the shit I said about Dwight and his nasty motherfucking ass, I'm not taking none of it back. I said what I said. I meant what the fuck I said. BJ too. And the rest of them nasty motherfuckers sitting in that pulpit. Because there's so many more I could name by name right now. So many more. But God is going to expose you anyway, just the way God has been exposing you. So it is what it is in terms of that. But in terms of people thinking that they're going to silence me, never. Because to be honest, I've already lost everything that I could lose in terms of past relationships. I've already released everyone. And I fully accept that if life takes somebody down a road of death, that that is something that is their portion. So it's just something that I would have to accept. But it's not something that I want to happen, but it is something that's going to happen, including the parents who your child told you that they were molested or raped, and you did not believe them, or you did nothing to get them help, or you knew what was going on and you allowed it. All of you are just as guilty. And to those who said, well, I was a member there and I wasn't sexually abused, I wasn't raped, just because it didn't happen to you doesn't mean it didn't happen to the rest of us. And by you saying that, you are low key trying to discredit the validity of those of us who did share that experience, who did go through that. And one thing nobody can ever take away from any of us is our truth and our experience. So speak your truth, live in your truth, speak up and speak out. I'm getting ready to start doing Rainbow Edition, speak up and speak out segments talking about my experience dating women. Because I was, I did try to be a lesbian for 4 years. The reason why I say tried is because I'm bisexual. Every female I dated knew I was bi. But during the time I dated women, I only dated women. Like I didn't date men or deal with men. And after my last relationship, I was like, this is too much. So I went back to men. Still very much so attracted to women. More than likely will have a husband and a wife. But in terms of like me finally accepting myself for myself, yeah, I had to go through my dark night of the soul um, to fully just be like, fuck all of it. Why am I gonna sweep shit under the rug to be accepted by people who, quite honestly, y'all not even worthy to be in my life? Everybody was like, you shouldn't talk about that because it might make the family. Fuck the family. Shit, what are the saying soul food? The family, fuck my husband. But like, I ain't got no husband, but y'all know what I mean. Fuck that shit. If you have the nerve to do the shit, then I got the motherfucking nerve to talk about it. Because people not talking about this shit is why the fuck it keeps happening, especially in families. Everybody will sweep the family rapist and pedophile under the rug, let that motherfucker come to every goddamn holiday event. But let you be loud and proud about your sexuality, they won't invite you to shit. Niggas will be right in your city having I remember that, having whole family events that I had to find out about on Facebook. Like, oh, so all y'all niggas was in town and didn't say shit. All because I'm living out loud at that time with my girlfriend. And that after that experience, that's why anybody I dated after her, I never put on social media. Because when I tell you people was lying through their motherfucking teeth because they saw that I was happy and I was happy with the woman, shit was crazy. I mean, it was like actual strangers that would be hitting her up talking about, oh, I seen your girlfriend at such and such places I ain't never heard of, don't know the address to. Just motherfuckers making up shit just because they hated the fact that I was actually happy and being public about my relationship. My last relationship I was in for over 5 years, y'all never saw me post about him. You never saw me post about him. And we lost a whole child together and was supposed to got married. You never saw me post about my ex. And I was with him longer than I was with her. Because I learned if I put this shit out on social media, motherfuckers gonna hate. That's why when I get married, y'all ain't gonna know until probably after I'm married. Like dead ass. Niggas gonna probably elope and post the shit 2 weeks later. Cause nah, I'm not gonna put out nothing and got people all in my business. As far as everybody know, I'm single and loving it. Truly loving it. But dead ass, I feel like that shit is crazy, bro. Like this shit is crazy. People can seriously let these motherfuckers come to the family picnic events, but not the gay one. Oh no, we don't want that gay shit around. Oh, it's funny, but not funny. It actually is not funny, but it is funny because it's the hypocrisy of the gay relative don't get invited to family events, but the pastor who's fucking all the kids and other men and women, they can come and pray over all the food. My former stepdad definitely had a thing for young girls, but he also had a thing for men. Because how do you rape your own brother? How do you do that? And then how are you looking at teenage girls in a sexual way when you're old enough to be their grandfather and you're supposed to be their pastor? Come to find out, one of the deacons that was he was our main deacon at our church. This nigga was molesting his stepkids and recording it, forcing them to do stuff with each other and recording it. Just nasty as hell. But these are the people y'all have in these churches. And if you speak on it, then you're wrong. So when you ask me, what religion do I follow? None. Never saw Christ follow religion. Christ was the energy of the Most High, period. I am the church in my human form, just as Christ was the church in human form. And Christ had a wife, Christ had children, Christ had a family. That's why there's 18 years of Christ's life missing out of the Bible now. I kept asking every pastor, I said, why do the Bible we have now only talk about Christ's birth to 12? And then from 12 to 30, we don't got shit about his life. So you say he was a preacher and a carpenter at 12. He went out in the wilderness for 18 years. Came back out of the wilderness after 18 years at 30 years old and died on the cross. Bullshit. That nigga had a wife and kids. Literally had a wife and kids who y'all tried to peg his wife as a whore. And you pegged his mother as a virgin when she was raped. Like, let's tell the real story of the true Yeshua, the true Christ, not the false Antichrist, Caucasian, Caesar version that y'all be trying to put out there. So, this has been much longer than I planned. I'm about to jump off of here. I'm going to come back with more of these types of lives. Like I said, my channel is a blend of, well, it's raw and uncensored, number one. But it is spirituality mixed with things that help to raise the vibration, things about healing, things about comedy, things that make you laugh, things that get your consciousness to start waking up. That's why I made that AI out of the UX graphic that I designed with Lauryn Hill's I Get Out, because that song has been on my mind nonstop for like the last month. And even though they didn't give me a copyright strike, but they just gave me like a little Oh, this contains copyright. Bitch, I'm getting a message out about getting out of the system. And that's really all it's about. It's about unlearning all of the mental conditioning, truly becoming the chosen, and truly working on healing and elevating the energy. Perfection, I am not. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of choices that I regret. I've dealt with people that I know I wouldn't have dealt with when I've been drunk. I've done all kinds of stuff. But I decided to fully work on my healing after my last relationship. I chose to be celibate. I had a one night stand with a person that I regretted in October of 2021 because I was extremely drunk and extremely grieving and extremely vulnerable. And after that, I decided to be celibate. So from October of 2021 until May of 2023, I was celibate. I had one experience with the father of my Mother's Day child because at that time we were talking about marriage and all this other shit. Regretted that experience and have been celibate since then. So to the bitch that tried to call me a slut with your stupid ass, kind of hard to be a slut when anybody touched your ass but one person in damn near 3 years. Oh, and fuck you for saying that shit too, because you actually are a slut in real life. Um, Outside of that, I have chosen to not give my body to another person who's not worthy of it. It has nothing to do with religion. I'm not being celibate because of some religious reason. I'm celibate because I don't want a soul tie as I am working on my healing. I'm actually doing what most people don't do, which is take the time to heal after you've gone through a very, long and traumatic relationship. Because losing a child with somebody, and this was my fifth child that I lost, my fifth miscarriage. Losing a child with somebody is very traumatic, very much caused a trauma bond, um, and a soul tie that took me some time to release. So once I fully released it, I was like, I'm gonna just be celibate. And it's like, it's just easier. It's easier for me to not have a soul tie because of the gifts that I have. Once I do have that soul tie with a person, I'm gonna know so much about you that I don't want to know. That sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Because of the gifts that I have, I'm going to see, hear, feel, and know things that I wish I didn't and that you definitely wish I didn't. Every time my ex cheated, I knew exactly who he was with and when. It used to freak him out. How did you know that? Well, I mean, I am a psychic. Information does come to me that I don't go looking for. And I'm an empath. And I'm clairvoyant. And I'm clairaudient. So yeah, for me to be intimate with a person, you ain't gonna be able to hide shit from my ass. Number one. Number two, your vibration has to match mine, and you have to be healed and working on your healing. Because I refuse. I would rather touch myself for the rest of my life before I let another man or woman touch me who is not worthy of me. And that's just the honest to God truth. Dead ass real. Like I'm not going to do it because for so long I did, and now that I realize who I am, how powerful I am, to enter my queendom, you definitely got to be worthy, and you got to be a person who is working on your healing. Because if not, I'm not getting ready to battle with your demons. I'm just not gonna do it, and my light will always overpower your darkness. But it's annoying dealing with dealing with somebody else's demons because they don't want to do the work to heal themselves. It's like that's too much work. So I'm very different from who I used to be, and I'm definitely very different from most people My mission on this planet is to raise a vibration. My goal is to enjoy my life until it's my time to transition. So I have gone definitely over the time I had planned, but it was necessary. And there will be more like this. Like I said, I got another comedy Katt Williams clip I've been working on. I'll probably post it either tonight or in the morning. Y'all continue to stay tuned. Thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you for your comments and um, your presence. I really hope that the people listening to this will find healing. Even to those who have caused harm, as much as I can't stand the bullshit you on, I hope for the sake of your lineage that you heal, but you definitely gonna pay for the shit you did. That's for sure. You definitely gonna pay for the shit you did. And some people choose not to heal because they are not ready to do the shadow work. They're not ready to face their demons. They're not ready to, face their shadows. I've been doing shadow work for at least the last 5 years, really before then, but definitely the last 5 years. And I own every part of my past, every part of it, every decision I made, I own it. It was all a part of my journey. It led me to where I am now. And me having experiences with people, sexual experiences with people, and you realize afterwards, man, they wasn't even worthy of that. It put me in a place where it's like, you know what, I'm about to hold it down. And I have been. And honestly, I've been more at peace. I've been a lot more at peace. So, and I've also seen my future with my divine masculine and my family and my daughter and all of that. So that is truly what I'm preparing for. I appreciate everybody who's been a part of my journey, every relationship, even my ex, all of that. It all led me to where I am now. It really did. At the time, of course, losing a baby, I lost my fifth baby 8 months after my father died. I didn't even know I was pregnant until I had the miscarriage. And that was the fifth one. Because I was born with an autoimmune disease called Graves' disease, and it causes hyperthyroidism, the same condition Wendy Williams has. And it very much so can cause ectopic pregnancies and multiple miscarriages. And I can definitely have children. I can definitely get pregnant, but carrying them full term has been a challenge. And 3 of the 5 miscarriages, I know I was pregnant. 2 of the 5, I did not. And the last one, I definitely did not. Um, and the doctor said I was between 12 to 13 weeks pregnant when I lost the baby. So it was just a very traumatic time. And like I said, my soul tie to that child's father was not only because we lost that baby, but because my father had just died and he was there in an emotional way. It was a trauma bond that I could, call him or reach out to him for comfort. And like these are things that, in human experience that you go through. You lose a parent, you're looking for comfort. This person is giving you that, you know, and so it's like for me, I was like, okay, this person's there for me, they're love bombing me. It feels good. And then you get into this relationship and find out this person is still dealing with their ex. You find out this person has trauma from their past, from their childhood, that they never even received any sort of help to try to heal. I mean, it's like all the stuff I realized after the fact, but in the middle of it, it just felt fucked up. Thank you for tuning in. In the middle of it, it just felt like this is so fucked up. Like, I moved across the country for this person to marry them. I lived in the house with their family. And then it's like I had to learn about self-love through the experience. That's what led to my healing. That's what led to me working with the life coaches. That's what led to me starting back my grief counseling and therapy and getting to the root of my childhood. And why do I keep attracting men that cheat on me? Well, because my stepdad cheated on my mom and she stayed. Why did I attract people that were abusive? Because my biological father was abusive to my mom and she stayed. So then I had to do the work. I'm still doing the work every day. Because when I do finally have my family, my children are not going to be in a house full of unhealed energy, unhealed trauma, trauma bonds. No, I'm going to be healed, and so is their father. And we're going to have a healthy family and a healthy household. And a lot of people don't do that work. They just jump from one person to the other, thinking that if they get with somebody new, it'll take away the feeling. Man, that shit don't work. All you're doing is carrying baggage from person to person, soul tie from person to person. So I'm grateful for every part of my journey. And I'm going to continue on my journey. I'm going to continue on speaking my truth. I'm going to continue on sharing my experiences because I know it's going to help other people who are going through it as well. And for them to realize that you can overcome anything that you face and you can take your power back and you can become whatever you set your mind to become. One thing I'm always promoting everywhere in social media is I am melanin excellence. If I, see another brother, sister doing something positive in the community, shout out to Loud Music. That is one of the best music labels local that I've, come across. Shout out to Little Flip, the freestyle king, meeting him, just him being humble and doing the freestyle rap. Shout out to um, Press D and DJ Nightcap at Rap Economics. I mean, these are melanin brands where they are doing things and they're raising the vibration. Shout out to Country Wayne and Mike Bless. These kings out here just putting out these skits, putting out this content, raising the vibration in our community. Shout out to Jess Hilarious, another melanin comedian, my favorite female melanin comedian. Shout out to Katt Williams for speaking his truth and that, not just his viral interview, but he's always been like that. I'm like, shout out to us because our ancestors died for this shit, man. Every slave that was lynched and hung and burned, they died for us to be able to have this freedom. They died for me to be on YouTube right now. My maternal grandmother picked cotton for a living. That's how she made her money. Shout out to my grandma. Thank you, Grandma Smith, for paving the way for me. So I'm always, always, always going to uplift my people. I'm always going to uplift us. We're powerful. We can do anything. The melanin in our skin makes us royalty, period. And we are not less than no other race, ever. So, carry yourself. You are a king. You are a queen. That's why even when I be on social media, I comment, congratulations, king, because you're a melanin king. Congratulations, queen. You are royalty. Never forget that shit. Never forget who you are. And always, always speak your truth. It is late and I've got to go because I got to get up in the morning. But I appreciate all of y'all who tuned in tonight. If you have not, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share my content, my videos. Like I said, this live went way longer than I had planned for it to, but it's just what I need to get out anyhow. And you can follow me on TikTok. All of my handle is the same. All of them are at Just D Show. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and my YouTube channel. I was on Twitch, but there really wasn't much of an audience on there, so I just kind of like closed that down. But I do plan to start a Patreon. So once I get my Patreon started, I will post the link as well. And if you would like to support my channel, drop down in the description and you will see my Cash App tag, which I believe is Abundance D. So, anyways, thank you all for tuning in. And I will catch y'all later. And thank you, these peeps. Shout out to 4,600 subbies. I just saw that earlier today. My subscribers went up to 4,600. So I thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate my supporters. I appreciate my subscribers. I appreciate everybody who has dropped down in the comments and have participated. I really appreciate you all. And just stay tuned for more raw and uncensored from Just Eat Show. Y'all have a good night.